Well, welcome again to Wesley Impact. In my thoughts for today, I'm going to be looking at the call of some of the first disciples as we read it in John's Gospel. And we'll also take a look at how Wesley Mission is working with schools to stamp out bullying. And as August the 12th is International Youth Day, we've invited a guest who's passionate about helping kids address hurts in their lives to help bring about restoration to upcoming generations. Dave Gunter admits he had a bad track record. When his parents split up, he says, hurt quickly grew into a life of rebellion and bad choices. He now focuses his energy on sharing his story in some of the most challenging schools and detention centres across Australia. Through Jesus Christ, his heavy load of regrets has been transformed into a platform for a life-giving message called I Roll with Dave. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Keith.
Look, thanks for coming. Let's just trace some of that story again. You grew up in a Christian home. Your dad was a police officer. Your mum was a welfare officer.
Yes. When
they divorced, you say yourself, you said, I'm done with God now.
Yeah, look, I was really hurt. You know, in my eyes, how did two Christian parents divorce? How does this happen? We're Christians.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to happen. So that's how I saw it, you know. So I really blame God for that. And you know, that's when I really sort of walked away. Yeah.
And you talk about anger taking over. Can you actually, as I talk about it, you can actually look back and think, hey, I can remember feeling that way.
Oh, definitely, yeah, you know. And I think I was angry for a lot of years, you know, and it snowballed. I never truly understood the concept of forgiveness. And, you know, it wasn't until I was 28 years of age that I really understood that concept of forgiveness and just letting go.
So before we get to there, 16, you're working in a nightclub. You say that for the next 12 years were a whirlpool of bad choices. You did go to church, interesting enough, didn't you, through this period of time?
I did, yeah, several times, you know. And I think it was when I really felt that my life was going down the tubes, or something major happened in my life. Could have been a breakup with a girlfriend, you know, and that's when I'd really go running to God. But it was on my terms.
Your terms and your deal, and you want him to do whatever you want.
That's correct. You know, God, if you want me to come to you, then you'll do this for me.
Now, at 28, you turned the corner and your view of God changed.
Yes.
What happened?
28 years of age, I'm heading towards 30. I'm not married. You know, I was angry. I was working in the prison service at the time, and I just wanted to change. I was like, God, you know my heart. You know that, you know, I want to be married. I want to have a family. And I just said, it's all over to you. You know, and I prayed, bring me my wife. And that's it. Yeah, that's how I guess it all started for me when I was 28.
And do you think that the need for forgiveness was real in your life? You needed to be forgiven?
I needed to be forgiven. I needed to forgive those. I needed who done the wrong thing by me. I needed to forgive myself. You know, and it had to come with no strings attached.
Look, before we move on and explore some of the exciting things that are happening in your life now, we're going to listen to a song, and this song picks up that theme of God's faithfulness. Matt Doland is a worship leader and a speaker from Australia's east coast city of Port Macquarie. Now here's Matt singing, and I think it's appropriate on some of the things we've said, how deep the Father's love for us.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing loss. The Father turns His face away as wounds which mar the chosen one bring man His sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon His shoulders, and ashamed I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that till it was accomplished, and his dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything. No gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection. Why should I gain from his reward? Well, I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart: his wounds have paid my ransom.
To commemorate 200 years of faith and pioneering care in Australia, Wesley Mission has released a publication documenting its work in the community.
Everyone needs a little rest. Everyone needs a little joy.
For more information on today's people, today's story, you can contact us on 02 9263 5555 or email us at impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
Now, if you want to know more about Matt Dolan's music, his details will be on our Wesley Impact webpage all throughout the week. Now we're back with our very special guest, Dave Gunter. Look, you have been many things. You're a speaker, you are somebody who works alongside young people, you're a mentor to many young people too, Dave. You had a mentor in your own life that made a big difference in you. Tell me about him.
That's right, Gordon Rose. Gordon Rose was an old Englishman, very old-fashioned Englishman that migrated out here in Australia in about 1995. And he was my first mentor. He was he took me aside as I was at the time, very scrubby looking, and he just inspired a bit of hope into me. He purchased my first suit for me, and really helped me create the image of the person that I wanted to be, and taught me some very valuable lessons.
Is that exactly what he did? What he really was doing for you? Deep down, you wanted to do, you think?
What did I want to do?
Did you have that desire to do that, so that when he did buy you a suit, when he did give you opportunity, you knew this is really what you wanted to do?
Absolutely, yeah. And he taught me my first lesson by, he owned a doll shop with his wife, and he came home with a big basket full of dolls, and he said, right, with absolute no argument, you're going to go out to the industrial areas where the builders and the mechanics were and go sell these dolls. And I thought, you want me to do what? He said, go get your suit on, you want to go sell these dolls. And so I spent all day in the hot Queensland sun selling these dolls and copying wolf whistles off tradespeople. And,
Yeah.
And I remember just coming home so angry and slamming that basket down on the table and saying, Gordon, what was the purpose of this exercise? And he said the purpose of the exercise was get you to do something with absolute no argument. He said, you want to argue with everyone, and he said, you need to start seeking some leadership. And he said you did an impossible job or a difficult job, and you did it without arguing with me. So, yeah.
What was it about him that made the difference? Did you have some respect for him? What was it you saw in him that made all this difference?
I just had a lot of respect for Gordon. He was brought up in the Bronx and lived in Liverpool as a young person in England, and he was picking up bits of tobacco leaves in tobacco factories to put himself through elocution lessons, so he could speak properly, and so he can get ahead in the world. And he went on to be, a CEO and part of the board of directors for a very big international company, and he was a real success.
You came to a point of waiting for God to bring you the person into your life. You talk about being really ancient at 28, and saying at that point, yeah, I really want somebody to be my partner, my wife. But it didn't come in the package you expected, did it?
It didn't, no. I remember praying, just saying, God, I give up. I'm 28 years of age, I'm unmarried, so bring me my wife. And 2 years later, the senior pastor at a church I was attending in Queensland said, David, I'd like you to come and speak at this. There's like a community forum of some sort, and we've got the Esther Foundation there, and and I'd like you to be the guest speaker. And I said, oh, yeah, but I'm busy on that day, and I was really, and she said, no argument, just turn up. And that was it. So I turned up, and I walked in, I had to cancel my other plans, and went in, and they said, oh, there'll be a $50 donation. I said, $50? I'm the guest speaker. They said, it's still $50, and there's $50, and slammed it down. And
Paying to preach, see?
there you go. And so there she was, and it was almost like, as cliche as it sounds, it's like that, God had just, right, there's your wife there. And she was sitting in the front row of all the politicians. And
Now, you're a correctional officer, I think, when you first met her. What about her?
Look, I was a correctional officer in a maximum security prison in Queensland, and my wife had, a lot of years beforehand, had been a prisoner herself in a female prison in Western Australia. So we come from two sides of the wire, you could almost say.
But she was committed to helping young people, and you've been committed to helping young people.
Yeah.
So you were brought together in a way where love is important, of course,
Yes.
but it's also got a purpose too, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and we really complement each other, and I know there's that cliche thing of where, it's two halves coming together, but I truly believe you need to be whole before you come together. So there's two wholes coming together. And, my wife, she's an amazing speaker. She's my best friend. She was 2 years ago inducted into the International Women's Day Hall of Fame for her work with drug addicts and kids in out-of-home care. So she just inspires me every single day.
And tell us how together that works in ministry.
In ministry, look, we can give two sides, look at the drug world, and we run a program called Gunter, A Tale of Two Sinners. We come from totally two different backgrounds. She comes from a criminal element. I worked in the prisons. But at the end of the day, we're all sinners. Just because she had committed crimes and been a drug addict, her sins were no different to mine, and vice versa.
And you needed forgiveness just like she did.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what does your faith mean to you now?
My faith, what it means to me now is, for me, it's just having that relationship with God, and just knowing He's got my back. I don't know, I can honestly say I've never read the whole of the Bible, and I know God knows that's okay. I'm getting through there. But, it means eternal life for me and my family, So my ministry, my wife, and my unborn child.
Yes, I mean, look, you've come at a very significant time in your life. You've just moved house back to where you dream you'd want to be to grow old, as it were, in the Dandenong Ranges. You're just up the edge and point of becoming a father for the first time. Oh, that must be very exciting.
Very exciting, yes.
Yeah, well, we pray that God would continue to bless your ministry, and that not only would people be able to roll with you with your story, but they might also find Christ through it all.
Absolutely.
Too.
Amen.
So bless you and Tina in the work that you do.
Thank you, Keith.
We'll be back in just a few moments after this message.
It's been 200 years since the first Methodists met in Australia. To celebrate 2 centuries of faith and pioneering care, CEO and presenter Reverend Dr. Keith Garner takes us back to where it all began.
But we don't begin here at the heart of London. We begin in a town in the north of England.
In this fascinating narrative, Reverend Garner chronicles the history of the life and times of the founder of Methodism, John Wesley. This fresh and thought-provoking documentary takes us on a journey throughout the United Kingdom, beginning in John Wesley's hometown of Epworth.
John Wesley was born here on the 17th of June, 1703.
This 1-hour DVD travels onto his education years and beginnings of social justice in Oxford, to his final years in London. For more information on John Wesley, the man and his mission, call 02 9263 5555 or email us at impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
Just like Dave has shared, our choices have consequences. Wesley Mission's Operation Hope sponsorship programme is designed specifically to support children from 10 to 16 who faced hard times. For Sinead, family breakdown led to years of bullying at school. Let's see how Operation Hope at Vision Valley is helping kids to build their self-esteem, to grow in self-confidence and to make better steps towards the future.
I'm Carl Stefanovic. Welcome to this special Sunday edition of A Current Affair. And tonight, that video. The moment when a 15-year-old boy said, "Enough is enough."
They were saying that I was dumb, I wasn't smart enough, I didn't want to go to school, I didn't want to get out of bed. My mum found it really hard to try to get me back on track to going to school and everything, but it just got worse. I used to hit people when they said things about me, and at one stage I actually ended up getting suspended from school. I just couldn't take it, I snapped. It was just a little bit too much for me.
When Sinead arrived, she was quite quiet. She actually came with another person that she knew that had been through the program before. She didn't really talk to many people. She was a bit like depressed, sort of like a bit sad. She wasn't sure on how the program was gonna go.
I was severely nerve-wracked about it. I wasn't in my surroundings, in my element, and I had no idea what was coming to me. And then everyone was just so friendly and nice and kind and caring. Jess, to be honest, I see her as more as a sister to me. She will listen to you. She is always there. Vision Valley had really helped me. They helped me open up. They helped me realize what I was doing was wrong and I should be the bigger person. They said it's okay to be you. It's okay to let people know what's going on, so then you don't have to have that guilt and worry behind it. So, and then after that, I just forgot about everything, and everything kind of dulled down after that.
Operation Hope is there to build their self-esteem and confidence. It's early intervention, so they come out here, they're affirmed by the leaders, they have fun, they can go home with those skills, they can go back to school with those skills as well.
I've learnt a lot from Vision Valley, and what I would say to everyone, it's the best experience you could have. When I went through the program, I felt happy, and my mum came back and saw a real difference. Now I look forward to going to school and look forward to seeing the friends who care about me.
Sinead is one story, but I get probably about 250 stories of these a year. We have our bullying cases, but we also have domestic violence and foster care kids, out-of-home kids, and these kids are like 14 and they don't have a place to go.
The practical and encouraging thing about Operation Hope is that the more resources we receive, the more children we can actually support. We've already got, as you can see, this wonderful facility. It's been here for 40 years. And then you add to that, we've got Wesley Mission's 200 years of experience and presence in this area, and particularly in helping young people and children. And all that comes together on one site. So for $600 per child, we can support them and turn past experiences into a springboard so that they can have an exciting future.
I feel that I do have a future to look forward to. I do have that hope that I could be something bigger than I thought I'd be before.
So now thinking today, I'd like to read to you from John's Gospel, the first chapter, 35 to 42. This is John's disciples follow Jesus. The next day, John was there again with two of his disciples. When he saw Jesus passing by, he said, "Look, the Lamb of God." When the two disciples heard him say this, they followed Jesus. Turning around, Jesus saw them following and asked, "What do you want?" They said, "Rabbi," which means teacher, "where are you staying?" "Come," he replied, "and you will see." So they went and saw where he was staying, and they spent that day with him. It was about 4 in the afternoon. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the two who heard what John had said and who'd followed Jesus. The first thing Andrew did was to find his brother Simon and tell him, "We have found the Messiah, that is the Christ," and he brought him to Jesus. Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas," which when translated is Peter. Well, we've listened, haven't we, today, to someone who's involved in a very real sense with that ministry with young people at the most significant moment of their lives, enabling them to hear the call of Christ, enabling them to hear something that is remarkably different than anything that they might have perhaps to that point in their lives ever heard. There is a right time, a right moment when we can hear what it is that God has to say to us. That moment could be now for you. It's the right moment. And in the New Testament here, in this passage, we have the right moment. The right moment that comes into the lives of the disciples. It's in the context of John the Baptist. We know that in the passage before we have how, in a sense, John gave his testimony. He saw the Spirit of God coming down upon Jesus and remaining on him. But we're told that this was a call to follow. They followed Jesus, a call to follow. When we come to that moment in our lives that is remarkably different, it is a call to follow. It's not the call to lead. It's not the call, firstly, to be educated in a particular way. It's a call to follow after Jesus Christ, to follow in his footsteps, to follow the way that he has shown us in terms of how to live. It's a call to follow. But secondly, it's more than that. It's a call to learn. Now, one of the greatest titles that those early followers of Jesus were given was the term disciple. And the term disciple is a learner of Jesus. A learner who hasn't got everything worked out, who doesn't have everything lined up, who knows there's far more to life now, but is learning the way of life. A call to learn. We've never really finished there. We've always got the L plates on. We've always got that sense that there's more to do and further to go. It's a call to learn. But it's also, thirdly, and I think supremely, it's a call to change. I mean, there's that lovely verse at the end of this chapter that tells us that Cephas is the name of the one who comes. Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, son of John. You will be called Cephas," which means, of course, Peter. There's that dramatic change. It happens for Peter. It happens, I'm sure, for all of those disciples. And it happens in the lives of people all throughout time. Those young people that in school, our friend has shared with us, hear the good news of Christ. They may be in youth groups. They may be with other young people. They hear it for themselves and they choose to follow. They choose to be learners and disciples of Jesus. And then as sure as eggs is eggs, they are changed. They're new and fresh and different because of Christ. And that's what he does, not only to early disciples, he does it to people today who are willing to look at him, who are willing to listen to him, who are willing to take him seriously. It is a call to follow, a call to learn, but it is a call to change. And may God grant to you and to me the power to respond to him in such a way that enables that change to take place. For it to happen, you need to open your heart. You need to open your life to the influence, power, and grace of the Holy Spirit. All that becomes possible to anyone who takes Jesus Christ seriously. Are you ready for a call to change?
If you would like to know more about today's topic or for more on Keith's message, contact Keith by writing to Wesley Mission, Post Office Box A5555, Sydney South 1235. Or email impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
Many thanks for joining us. I hope you always enjoy our story, but I hope you enjoyed Dave's story of transformation. I'm going to leave you with one of our regular guests, Steve McPherson, singing "I Surrender All." And so until next week, goodbye and may God richly bless you.
To Jesus I surrender all. To Him I freely give. I will ever love and trust Him in His presence daily live. I surrender all.